Okay, guys, I just want to follow up on what the Khan Academy video that you watched, which was just solving radical equations with the square root. Okay, I want to go on and do a couple other types. I want to remind you that you already know how to isolate the variable. We're still doing that, okay? I still want to get x squared by itself. So my first step would be to divide by 2. X squared equals 9. That's old, okay? It's the same thing if I have this equation. I want to isolate this x, so I'm going to divide by 2, okay? Don't think you do anything differently than you've been doing. You know how to isolate the variable, right, and get it by itself. So our first step would be to divide by 2 here. My first step would be to divide by 2 here. My first step is the same, no matter if it's x to the 1/2, square root of x, or x squared. We also know how to undo an x squared. We did the square root method back when we were doing quadratics. So I'm going to take the square root of each side. When I do that, I have to also remember to put the plus or minus, okay? Square root of x squared is x, and then I got plus or minus 3. So x is either 3 or x is negative 3. Okay, and let me just check it. I'm saying that 2 times 3 squared should equal 18. Well, 3 squared is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. I'm also saying that 2 times negative 3 squared should be 18. Well, negative 3 squared is 9, right? Because a negative squared is positive. And then 9 times 2 is 18. So I'm convinced my answers are 3 or negative 3. Here, however, I don't have x squared. I have the square root of x. So what I'm going to have to do is square both sides. Sorry, something funky is happening with my pen. Stick with me here. All right, I'm squaring both sides. When I square the square root of x, I get x. And when I square 9, I get one thing. I don't have to do plus or minus when I'm squaring something. Okay, 9 squared is 81. That's the only thing that 9 squared is. Okay, so you get x equals 81. Not sure where it's going there. Okay. Alrighty. So, over here, I have x to the 1/2 equals 9. When I have a fractional exponent, what I do is raise that exponent to the reciprocal power. Okay, so the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2 over 1. Okay, I'm going to raise this side to the 2 over 1 power, and I'm going to raise this side to the 2 over 1 power. Okay, because when I take a power to a power, I multiply those exponents, and 1/2 times 2 is 1. So now I have x to the first equals 81. Okay, so when you have your variable raised to a fraction, you take that and raise it to the reciprocal power, each side, because you have to do the same thing to each side. Okay, square root of x and x to the 1/2 are the same thing. Okay, let's try this one. This time it's a cubed root problem. It's not a square root problem, but we still do the same thing to start. I'm trying to isolate where my x is, so my first thing is to just add 6 to both sides. Okay, so I get the cubed root of 4x plus 2 equals negative 4. Right? My first step is the same. I would have added 6 if it just said x minus 6 equals negative 10. Now I want to get rid of the cubed root. To get rid of the cubed root, I am going to do the opposite of cube rooting, and I'm going to cube, raise it to the 3rd power. When we wanted to undo square root, remember we squared. Well, now we want to undo cubed root, so we cube. When you cube a cube root, you just get 4x plus 2. When I cube negative 4, that's negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. That's what it means to cube a number. This is a positive 16 times a negative 4 is a negative 64. Okay, and then I would subtract 2. I get 4x equals negative 66. To get my final answer, I would divide by 4, and that's going to be negative 33 over 2. You might want to write that as negative 16 and a half. If you did it in your calculator, maybe you got negative 16.5. Any of those are fine with me. Okay, I'm not going to be picky about it. If you have your calculator and you take 66 divided by 4, well, negative 66 divided by 4, you get negative 16.5. That's fine. Or you could write it as negative 16 and a half or negative 33 over 2. Okay? And then I would put that back in and make sure that I get negative 10. Okay? Let me just grab my calculator here if I can. Sugars. Let's see, where's my calculator? Okay, there's my calculator. So what I'm saying is, I said the answer was negative 16.5. So I'm saying, and by the way, guys, cube root is down here in math. It's number 4, okay? So I'm saying that the cubed root of 4 times negative 16.5, that's what I think x is, right? Plus 2, okay, I want to take the cubed root of that whole thing. So the cubed root started off with a parenthesis, there we'll end it. That whole thing minus 6, I think should equal negative 10 if I did my math correctly. So I did. I put negative 16.5 in for x, and I got negative 10. So that shows me that, yes, that's the correct answer. Okay? All right, let's try this one. Again, I want to get the x to the 5 halves by itself. So I'm going to have to divide by a half on both sides. And I know that dividing by a half is the same as multiplying by 2. 16 divided by a half is 32. Now, how am I going to get rid of x to the 5 over 2? What am I going to raise it to? What are you thinking? Think what we did before when it was to the 1/2. Okay, we're going to raise it to the reciprocal of what it's raised to. The reason we do that is when I have a power raised to a power, I multiply those exponents. Multiplying these exponents will give me 10 over 10, or 1. So this gives me x to the 1. That's what I want. Now, 32 to the 2/5, we remember from last unit that that's the same as the 5th root of 32 squared. And I can do that in any order. I can take the 5th root of 32 and then square it, or I can square 32 and take the 5th root of it. Well, I'm going to take the 5th root of 32, which is 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 32. So the 5th root of 32 is 2. And then I have to square that answer. I took the 5th root of 32, and now I square that. My answer is 4. Again, we have calculators. So maybe I would just type in, hey, what's 32 to the 2/5 power? I just have to make sure my 2/5 is in parentheses so the calculator knows to raise 32 to the 2/5. Okay, power, and that'll give me my 4. Sometimes people mistakenly go 32 to the 2/5, and they think they wrote it correctly, but the calculator will take 32 squared, and whatever that is, they'll divide that by 5. So big difference, okay? The answer is 4. We want the calculator to take 32 to the 2/5 power, not 32 squared divided by 5. Okay? All right. Let's try this one then. There's nothing to add it or subtract it or multiply times the 5x minus 19. So I can jump right to raising this side to the 6/5 and raising this side to the 6/5. When I raise this side, something to the 5/6 to the 6/5, that's 30 over 30, or 1. So I've made this 5x minus 19 to the 1. Well, we don't write to the 1. 32 to the 6/5. That's the 5th root of 32 to the 6th. The 5th root of 32, as we saw on the last page, is 2. And then 2 to the 6th. Oh, gosh, I'm multiplying 2 times itself 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm using 2 as a base 6 times. That gives me 64. And so now I'll just add 19. And divide by 5. The answer is 83 over 5. Or, you know, if you want to get that on your calculator as something, you know, as a decimal, this isn't going to be a pretty decimal, 16.6. That's not bad. It's up to you. I don't care how you write it. Oops, why am I red and green? I don't know. Okay, 83/5 or 16.6 is the final answer. Again, maybe we put 16.6 in for x. Since we have time to check our answers, we probably should. 5 times 16.6. Okay, I'm just doing this. Minus 19. Let's see what that gives me. I'm going to raise that answer to the 5/6 power. That's what it's, you know, I'm just doing what this is telling me to do. And I hope I get 32 because, yep. So 16.6 was the correct answer. You can check these. Okay? All right. Do those homeworks out of the book. Okay? I know you're going to be bringing your book back to me next week. But that's okay, because while you're home, you should do this, okay? And then bring your book back to me the next time I see you. Okay, so it was page 456. Put that here. Page 456. And I'm just having you do the odds, because the odd answers are in the back. And that way you can check and make sure that you got the right answer. Okay, page 456, numbers, yep, 13 to 33 odd. 13 to 33 odd. Okay, let's see if I can grab that. I'm having technology issues today. I apologize. This is on Schoology, but just for you to know. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But 33 is an error analysis. You just practice, you know, practice these problems. They're no more difficult than what we just did. Okay? All right. See you guys in class.